Admiral Kortvest stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Resolve, and watched the blue planet grow larger on his screens. Earth, they called it. A simple name for a simple world. Behind his ship, 2 more Aegis-class dreadnoughts followed in perfect formation. 3 ships that had never lost a battle, 3 ships that could not be destroyed. The Admiral's scales rippled with satisfaction. In his 400 years of service to the Valkoran hegemony, he had brought 63 primitive species into the fold. This would be number 64. The humans would look at his ships, understand their situation, and surrender. They always did. "Admiral, we are receiving multiple transmissions from the planet," his communications officer reported. "They appear confused. Some are welcoming us. Others are demanding we leave." Kortvest made a dismissive gesture with his clawed hand. "They have no unified government yet. Typical of species at this development level. Open a channel to all their communication networks." The humans had only discovered faster-than-light travel 20 years ago. Their ships were slow, clumsy things that could barely reach the nearby stars. The hegemony scouts had watched them for a decade before this moment. They had seen the humans fighting among themselves, struggling with their own primitive conflicts. They were not ready for the galaxy. But ready or not, the galaxy had found them. "Channel open, Admiral." Kortvest straightened his uniform and faced the recording sensors. "People of Earth, I am Admiral Kortvest of the Valkoran hegemony. For 12,000 years, the hegemony has maintained peace and order across 400 star systems. We have come to extend our protection to your world. You will join us, accept our guidance, and contribute to the greater prosperity of civilized space. You have 48 hours to prepare your formal surrender." He cut the transmission without waiting for a response. There was never any point in waiting. The primitives always needed time to accept reality. "Move us into high orbit," he commanded. "Let them see what they cannot fight." The 3 dreadnoughts descended toward Earth like falling moons. Each ship stretched 3 kilometers from bow to stern. Their hulls gleamed with exotic metals unknown to human science. But their true strength was invisible. The shield generators that surrounded each vessel had been perfected over 800 years of warfare. Energy weapons splashed against them like water on stone. Missiles detonated harmlessly against their fields. Kinetic weapons simply bounced away, their momentum absorbed and redirected. In 8 centuries, no enemy had ever penetrated an Aegis shield. The technology was the pride of the hegemony, the ultimate expression of defensive engineering. Other species had tried to copy it and failed. The secret lay not in power but in sophisticated harmonics that created layers upon layers of protective force. "Admiral, the humans are responding," the communications officer announced. "Multiple governments wish to negotiate." "Let them negotiate among themselves first," Kortvest replied. "When they realize they cannot agree, they will accept our terms more readily." He walked to the observation window and looked down at Earth. Lights sparkled across the night side of the planet. Cities, millions of them, filled with billions of these humans. They built tall structures and fast vehicles. They had split the atom and touched their moon. Impressive for primitives. But they were still primitives. The next 40 hours passed slowly. Kortvest watched as the humans broadcast endless debates and arguments. Their leaders shouted at each other across video screens. Some wanted to fight. Some wanted to surrender. Most simply seemed terrified. It was all very predictable. His tactical officer, a young Corinthian named Vex, approached with a report. "Admiral, human military vessels are taking up positions throughout their solar system. Small craft mostly. Their largest warship is only 400 meters long." "Toys," Kortvest said. "What can they possibly do to us?" "Nothing, sir. Their weapons are primitive projectile systems and early plasma cannons. Neither would scratch our shields. Then let them posture. It makes them feel better." When the deadline arrived, the humans sent their answer. Not through diplomatic channels, but through action. A single transmission reached the Eternal Resolve. It contained only 3 words. "Respectfully, we decline." Kortvest felt his blood chill. In his 400 years, no species had ever refused. Not when they saw the Aegis dreadnoughts. Not when they understood the futility of resistance. Admiral, sensors detect energy buildups on several human installations: Luna, Mars, Europa, and various asteroid stations. Weapons charging? Kortvess asked. Unknown configuration, sir. The energy signatures are strange. Very high power draw, but not matching any known weapon system. Kortvess made his decision quickly. If the humans wanted a demonstration, he would provide one. Target their largest military installation. We will destroy it as a warning. Fire when ready. The Eternal Resolve's main cannon charged. Energy crackled along the massive barrel that ran the length of the ship's spine. This weapon could crack a small moon. A human military base would simply cease to exist. Firing. A beam of concentrated plasma lanced down toward Earth's surface, toward the military installation they had identified in what the humans called North America. It would arrive in seconds. The base would be vaporized, the humans would understand. But something else happened first. The tactical displays lit up with warnings. 17 objects, small and moving impossibly fast, appeared on the sensors. They had been hidden somehow, masked by the debris and clutter of human space traffic. Now they revealed themselves. Incoming projectiles. Impact in 4 seconds. Vex's voice carried the first hint of fear. Velocity reading impossible, Admiral. Sensors must be malfunctioning. They show 15% of light speed. Kortvess opened his mouth to respond, but time had run out. The first projectile hit the Eternal Resolve's shields. The sophisticated, layered, impenetrable shields that had withstood 8 centuries of warfare. The shields designed to absorb and redirect energy, to catch missiles, to stop anything the galaxy could throw at them. The shields did nothing. The projectile was not energy. It was not a missile. It was simply matter, moving at a speed that should have been impossible. A tungsten rod 20 meters long and 2 meters wide, accelerated to 45,000 kilometers per second. When it touched the shield tried to slow it, tried to redirect it, tried to stop it. The shield failed in 0.03 seconds. The rod hit the hull of the Eternal Resolve with the force of a tactical nuclear weapon. It punched through the exotic metals like they were paper. It continued through 7 decks, through reactor shielding, through the main power core itself. The ship had been designed to withstand any weapon the galaxy knew. The galaxy had never seen this weapon. Kortvess had one final moment of clarity as alarms screamed and his bridge erupted in flames. One moment to understand that everything he knew was wrong. One moment to realize that these humans, these primitives, had done something impossible. Then the Eternal Resolve's reactor breached, and the flagship of the Valkoran hegemony became a brief new star in Earth's orbit. The other 2 dreadnoughts lasted 3 seconds longer. 16 more projectiles arrived. 16 more impacts. 16 more failures of the impenetrable shields. 3 Aegis-class dreadnoughts, each carrying 3,000 crew, each protected by technology refined over 8 centuries, died in 15 seconds. In those 15 seconds, humanity taught the galaxy a lesson it had forgotten over 100,000 years of sophisticated warfare. Sometimes the oldest solution is the best solution. Sometimes a rock thrown fast enough will break anything. And sometimes the primitives win. 6 months before the Aegis dreadnoughts arrived at Earth, Dr. Sarah Chen stared at a problem that was giving her a headache. The problem floated in space 300 million kilometers away, and it was made of ice. The mining crews can't get through it, her assistant James explained on the video call. The asteroid is 90% water ice, but there's a rocky core that keeps breaking their drill bits. They've gone through 16 drills in 2 weeks. Sarah rubbed her temples. Europa Station, her home and workplace, hummed quietly around her. Through the window, Jupiter dominated the sky, beautiful and useless for solving her current problem. What about explosives? Too risky. The ice fractures unpredictably. Last time they tried, they lost 3 valuable fragments in trajectories that will take months to recover. So we need something that can crack the core without shattering the ice. Yes, and preferably from a distance, so we don't have to send crews to each problem asteroid. Sarah thought about this for a long moment. Her job was to solve problems that mining companies couldn't solve themselves. Usually, this meant developing new drill designs or better scanning equipment. But this problem needed something different. What if we don't drill at all? She said slowly. What if we just hit it really, really hard? James blinked. You mean like a kinetic impactor? Exactly. But not a regular one. Something with enough velocity to punch straight through to the core. The ice would absorb most of the impact energy. The core would shatter. We'd still keep most of the ice intact. Sarah, the velocity needed for that would be enormous. We're talking about tens of thousands of kilometers per second. I know. That's why we built a railgun. A big one. The idea seemed crazy at first. Railguns had been used in warfare centuries ago, but they fell out of favor. They were too simple, too inelegant. Modern weapons used plasma, lasers, exotic particles. Railguns were museum pieces. But Sarah wasn't building a weapon. She was building a tool. It took 3 months to construct the first prototype. They mounted it on an old cargo platform that nobody was using. The railgun stretched 200 meters long, a massive tube surrounded by magnetic accelerators. It could take a simple tungsten rod and throw it faster than anything else in human space. The first test went badly. The rod melted from friction with the residual gas in the barrel. The second test went worse. The magnetic fields tore the platform apart. But the third test worked beautifully. The tungsten rod hit the target asteroid at 45,000 kilometers per second, 15% of the speed of light. The ice remained mostly intact. The rocky core shattered into convenient miniable fragments. The mining company was thrilled. We should build more, James said, watching the test footage for the 10th time. Larger ones. We could revolutionize asteroid mining. Sarah nodded, already sketching designs. We'll need funding, and more platforms, and probably better tungsten rods. These ones are barely holding together at launch. They built 6 more Hellbore systems over the next 3 months. The name came from a junior engineer who thought Hellbore sounded more impressive than Ice Asteroid Cracker Mark 7. Sarah didn't care about names. She cared about results. The systems spread throughout the outer solar system. Europa Station had 3. Mars Station had 2. 1 went to the asteroid belt. Each one sat quietly, waiting for mining crews to find difficult asteroids that needed a hard impact from a safe distance. Nobody thought about using them for war. Why would they? Humanity hadn't fought a space battle in 60 years. The weapons of modern warfare were sophisticated things, full of computers and targeting systems and complex energy management. A railgun was just a tube with magnets. Ancient technology, boring technology. Then the Valkoran hegemony arrived. Sarah remembered the moment she saw the alien ships on the news. 3 massive vessels, each bigger than anything humanity had ever built. The reports said they were protected by shields that couldn't be broken. The reports said humanity needed to surrender. Sarah remembered thinking, they're probably right. She remembered the 48-hour deadline, the endless debates, the fear in everyone's eyes. Europa Station went into lockdown. People hugged their families over video calls and said things they'd been meaning to say for years. Then, 6 hours before the deadline, Sarah received a call from Earth, from someone in the military she'd never heard of, a general with tired eyes and a desperate voice. Dr. Chen, we need to know about your mining equipment, the Hellbore railgun. How fast does the projectile travel? Sarah told him. 45,000 kilometers per second, 15% of light speed. How accurate is it? For hitting asteroids? Very accurate. For hitting something moving unpredictably? No idea. We've never tried. Can you retarget it to hit something in Earth orbit? Sarah felt her stomach drop. You want to use it as a weapon? Doctor, we have 46 hours left. We have nothing else that might work. Our missiles are too slow. Our lasers aren't powerful enough. But your projectiles move faster than anything the aliens have ever seen. Their shields might not know what to do with pure kinetic energy at relativistic speeds. Might, Sarah repeated. You're guessing. Yes, but it's the best guess we have. Sarah looked around her laboratory. At the computers and tools and all the peaceful equipment of scientific research, at the window showing Jupiter's eternal storms. She thought about the aliens in orbit around Earth, about their ultimatum, about what surrender would mean. I'll need access to the targeting computers, she said, and about 3 hours to recalculate the trajectories. And the mining crews are not going to be happy about this. Thank you, Doctor. Sarah spent those 3 hours working faster than she'd ever worked in her life. The Hellbore systems weren't designed to target moving objects. They were designed to hit stationary asteroids that mining crews had already mapped and analyzed. Hitting a ship in orbit, A ship that might maneuver required completely different calculations. She did her best. She programmed all 6 active hellbores to fire on the same target at the same time. If the ships had any kind of point defense system, maybe 1 or 2 projectiles would get through. When Earth declined the alien ultimatum, Sarah sat in her laboratory and waited. The aliens fired first, she heard later. They targeted a military base with some kind of energy weapon. But they fired after the hellbores launched. The tungsten rods traveled through space at 15% of light speed. At that velocity, they crossed the distance from Europa to Earth orbit in about 28 minutes. The aliens never saw them coming. Their sensors probably detected something, but at that speed, detection didn't matter. By the time the information reached the alien computers, the rods had already arrived. Sarah watched the feeds from Earth orbit. She saw the 3 massive alien ships. She saw them for exactly 15 seconds after the rods arrived. Then she saw 3 expanding clouds of debris where the ships had been. She sat in silence for a long time. James found her there an hour later, still staring at the screen. "Sarah, are you okay?" "I killed them," she said quietly. "I built a mining tool and it killed thousands of people. You saved Earth." Both things can be true. She thought about the alien crews. They had families, probably. Lives and dreams and futures. She had ended all of that with a tool designed to break rocks. The universe had a terrible sense of irony. But she also thought about Earth. About the 7 billion humans who would have lived under alien rule. About the children who could now grow up free. About the future humanity still had. Both things were true. The universe didn't care about irony. It only cared about velocity and mass and the simple physics of kinetic energy. Sarah Chen had solved a mining problem. In doing so, she had given humanity the weapon that broke the unbreakable ships. Sometimes solutions came from unexpected places. Sometimes the scientist became a warrior without ever leaving the laboratory. The galaxy would learn this lesson. Humanity fought with whatever worked, whether it was elegant or not. The emergency session of the Valkoran Hegemony Council began in silence. 7 species, 7 representatives, all staring at the holographic display that showed what remained of the Eternal Resolve and her sister ships. Debris. Nothing but debris, spinning slowly in orbit around a primitive blue planet. High Chancellor Mevris of the Ashara Communion spoke first. Her voice carried the musical quality of her people, but today it sounded flat and tired. 3 Aegis-class dreadnoughts. 9,000 crew. Gone in 15 seconds. Someone please explain how this happened. War Master Kreth of the Corinthian Dominion slammed his fist on the table. His species were warriors, bred for combat, proud of their military tradition. Treachery. They must have had hidden weapons. Technology beyond what our scouts reported. Our scouts don't make mistakes of that magnitude, countered Science Director Eula of the Memnar Collective. Her many eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of stress among her kind. I've reviewed every report from Sol System. The humans have barely achieved faster-than-light travel. They have no shield technology, no plasma weapons, no gravitic manipulation. They are primitives. Primitives who destroyed our best ships, Kreth growled. Enough. Mevris raised her hand for silence. Science Director, your analysis teams have had 48 hours to study the debris. What did you find? Eula activated her datapad. The holographic display changed, showing the recovered fragments in detail. The shields did not fail. This is important to understand. The Aegis shield generators were functioning perfectly when the impacts occurred. The shields attempted to stop the projectiles. They simply couldn't. Impossible, said Kreth. Aegis shields have stopped everything for 8 centuries. They have stopped every weapon we know, Eula corrected. Energy weapons, missiles, plasma, exotic particles. But these were not any of those things. These were solid metal rods moving at approximately 15% of light speed. Silence fell over the council chamber. Finally, Trade Envoy Shen of the Qualish Union spoke. His people were merchants and diplomats, not warriors, but even he understood the implications. Pure kinetic weapons? But nobody has used kinetic weapons in over 100,000 years. Precisely, Eula said. We evolved past them. We developed energy shields specifically to counter energy weapons. Our shields are sophisticated systems that interact with plasma, lasers, particle beams. They were never designed to stop simple matter moving at relativistic speeds. The humans bypassed our entire defensive paradigm by using a weapon so old we forgot it existed. Kreth leaned forward. How did they accelerate the projectiles to such speeds? That requires technology they shouldn't possess. Electromagnetic acceleration. Railguns. Again, ancient technology, but scaled up to massive proportions. Our intelligence suggests they built these systems for mining operations, not warfare. They simply repurposed industrial equipment. High Chancellor Mevris felt a chill run through her. They turned mining tools into weapons that destroyed our best ships? Yes, Chancellor. And that is perhaps the most disturbing aspect of this situation. They didn't even need to build weapons. They simply used what they already had in a way we never anticipated. The council chamber erupted in arguments. Some representatives demanded immediate retaliation. Others counseled caution. A few suggested opening diplomatic channels. The voices rose and overlapped until Mevris called for order again. We must decide on a response, she said. The entire galaxy is watching. If we do nothing, we appear weak. If we attack and fail again, we appear helpless. What are our options? War Master Kreth stood, his posture rigid with barely controlled fury. We send the Grand Armada. 200 ships, including 15 Aegis dreadnoughts equipped with kinetic dampening fields. We have already begun modifications to counter this specific threat. We crush them before they can advance further. We show the galaxy that the hegemony does not tolerate defiance. And if we fail, asked Trade Envoy Shen quietly, we won't fail. Not with 200 ships. Not with our full military might. Mevris turned to Science Director Eula. Can the kinetic dampening field stop these weapons? Eula's eyes blinked rapidly. In theory, yes. The modifications should allow our shields to interact with solid matter more effectively, but we've had less than 2 days to implement them. Full testing is impossible in such a short time frame. So you're guessing, Mevris said. We're extrapolating from our best models. There is a difference, not a large one. Mevris looked around the council chamber. She had led the hegemony for 70 years. In that time, they had brought peace to hundreds of worlds, ended countless conflicts, created stability across an enormous region of space. But that peace had made them comfortable, complacent even. They had forgotten what it meant to face a truly unexpected enemy. What about diplomacy? She asked. Did the humans respond to our communication attempts? Shen activated his own display. Yes, Chancellor. We received a transmission from someone calling himself Dr. Marcus Webb, a human cultural anthropologist. His message has been broadcast widely. Show me. The hologram changed again. A human appeared, middle-aged by their standards, with kind eyes and graying hair. He sat in a simple room and spoke directly to the camera. People of the Valkoran hegemony, I am Dr. Marcus Webb. I study how different cultures understand each other, or fail to. I'm speaking to you now because I believe our two civilizations have failed to understand each other, and that failure has cost lives on both sides. You came to Earth offering protection. We heard threat. You showed us your mighty ships. We saw invasion. You gave us an ultimatum. We answered the only way humans know how. We fought back, not because we're warlike, not because we wanted those deaths, but because in our history, surrendering to overwhelming force usually meant slavery, exploitation, or death. We've learned not to trust powerful strangers who demand submission. Perhaps your intentions were good. Perhaps your hegemony truly brings peace, but you never asked us. You never negotiated. You simply demanded. So we did what humans do when pushed. We found a way to push back. Now we're at a crossroads. You can send more ships and we will find more ways to destroy them. We're good at that. Terrifyingly good. Or we can talk. Actually talk as equals, not as conquerors and conquered. The choice is yours. The message ended. Mevris sat in thought for a long moment. That message has been viewed by billions across hegemony space, Shen said quietly. Many citizens are asking questions. Why didn't we negotiate? Why did we go directly to ultimatums? The human makes points that resonate with many of our people. Weakness, Kreth spat. He attempts to divide us with pretty words while his people build more weapons. Or he offers us a way to end this without further bloodshed, Mevris countered. Chancellor, we cannot appear weak. The Vrexel swarm watches our borders. The Therix Empire waits for any sign of vulnerability. If we negotiate with these humans after they destroyed our ships, every enemy will see opportunity. Mevris knew he was right. Politics demanded strength, especially galactic politics. But she also thought about Dr. Webb's words. Had they truly tried to communicate? Or had they simply assumed these humans would react like every other primitive species? We send the Grand Armada, she decided. But we also send a diplomatic team. We give the humans one more chance to surrender peacefully. If they refuse, we attack. If they accept, we begin real negotiations, as Dr. Webb suggests. We show strength and wisdom together. Kreth looked dissatisfied but nodded. The other council members agreed. It was a compromise, the kind that left everyone slightly unhappy, but could be supported by all. How long to prepare the armada? Mevris asked. 12 days, Kreth reported. We're pulling ships from across the hegemony. The modifications take time. Then we have 12 days to prepare our diplomatic position as well. Science Director, continue analyzing the human weapons. Find every weakness. Trade envoy. Draft terms of surrender that might actually be acceptable to a species like humanity. War Master, make absolutely certain your kinetic dampening fields work. The council dispersed. Mevris remained in her chamber, staring at the frozen image of Dr. Marcus Webb on the holographic display. He looked tired but determined. She wondered if she wore the same expression. The galaxy was about to learn something important, though Mevris didn't yet know what that lesson would be. Perhaps it would learn that overwhelming force still mattered in the end. Perhaps it would learn that old weapons could defeat new defenses. Or perhaps it would learn that primitive and advanced were just words, and survival made everyone dangerous. In 12 days, they would all find out. The Grand Armada emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of Sol system, like a meteor shower made of starships. 200 vessels ranging from small frigates to massive dreadnoughts, all bearing the symbols of the Valkoran hegemony. Commander Vera Court watched them assemble from the bridge of her flagship, the Steadfast Justice. She was Admiral Court Vessa's daughter. Her father had died in those first 15 seconds above Earth. Now she commanded the force that would avenge him or die trying. All ships report ready, Commander, her tactical officer announced. Kinetic dampening fields active and tested. We're as prepared as we can be. Vera nodded slowly. Send the final diplomatic message to the humans. Give them 6 hours to respond. The message was simple. Surrender or be destroyed. They had tried politeness before. It hadn't worked. 6 hours later, the human response arrived. Again, just 3 words, come and try. Vera gave the order to advance. The Armada began moving toward the inner solar system in perfect formation. They would reach Earth in 3 days at their current speed. 3 days for the humans to see what was coming and understand the hopelessness of their situation. But the humans had been busy during those 12 days of preparation. Very busy. The Armada passed the orbit of Neptune without incident. Vera allowed herself a moment of cautious optimism. Perhaps the humans had only possessed a few of those railguns. Perhaps their first victory had been lucky. Perhaps this would be easier than feared. Then space itself seemed to attack them. The Kuiper Belt, that distant ring of ice and rock at the solar system's edge, suddenly lit up with thousands of energy signatures. Objects that had looked like asteroids revealed themselves as weapons platforms. Simple things, just missiles and drones, but there were so many of them. Evasive action. Point defense, maximum priority, Vera shouted. The Armada's defensive systems opened fire. Lasers and plasma cannons traced brilliant lines through the darkness, destroying the incoming drones. But for every drone they destroyed, 3 more appeared. The humans weren't using sophisticated weapons. They were using simple, cheap, mass-produced machines. Quantity over quality. Nuclear explosions bloomed silently in vacuum. Not direct hits, but close enough. The Armada's shields held against the blasts, but the swarm was overwhelming their point defense systems. Ships began taking damage. Not critical damage, not yet, but the battle had barely begun and they were already bleeding. 30 ships reporting damage. The tactical officer reported. 5 ships lost. 5? Vera couldn't believe it. To these primitive drones. They're targeting our sensors and communication arrays, Commander. Precision strikes. They're not trying to destroy us. They're trying to blind us. Clever. Vera thought grudgingly. Very clever. The Armada pushed forward, leaving thousands of dead drones in their wake. They reached Saturn's orbit 8 hours later. Here the humans had prepared something different. The rings of Saturn were beautiful, a natural wonder visible from across the solar system. Billions of ice particles, each one reflecting sunlight, creating bands of light around the gas giant. Vera had seen recordings of them. She had thought them pretty. Now she realized they were a weapon. Commander, the rings are active, reading massive electromagnetic signatures throughout the entire ring system. What do you mean, active? Her answer came in the form of ice chunks accelerating toward the Armada at impossible speeds. Not as fast as the railgun projectiles that had killed her father, but fast enough. And there were millions of them. The humans had seeded Saturn's rings with simple explosive charges attached to ice fragments. Now those charges were detonating, turning the rings into a massive shotgun blast aimed at the Armada. Each individual projectile was small, no bigger than a fist, but at these speeds they hit like missiles. Shields holding. Someone shouted. Kinetic dampening fields are working, another voice added. Vera felt a moment of relief. The modifications were working. Then she saw the tactical display and the relief died. Yes, the shields were stopping the projectiles, but the energy cost was enormous. Every impact drained power, and the impacts weren't stopping. Route all non-essential power to shields, Vera ordered. We're going through this. We don't have a choice. The Armada pushed into Saturn's rings. For 2 hours, they endured a constant barrage of ice and rock. The shields held, but 40 more ships lost power completely. Without shields, even small debris became deadly. Those ships fell behind, dead in space, crews evacuating in whatever escape pods still functioned. When they finally cleared the ring system, the Armada had lost 85 ships. Not even halfway to Earth, and nearly half their force was gone. We continue, Vera said, her voice hard. We don't stop. We don't slow down. We reach Earth and we end this. But Jupiter brought new horrors. The gas giant's powerful magnetic field, usually a natural phenomenon of interest only to scientists, had been turned into something else. The humans had built massive structures on Jupiter's moons, enormous rails stretching thousands of kilometers across the planet's magnetosphere. They were using Jupiter itself as a weapon, as a massive accelerator throwing projectiles using natural forces. Incoming fire from Jupiter's moons. The projectiles were crude compared to the initial railgun attack. Slower, less precise, but they were big, some as large as ships themselves, and there were dozens of them. The kinetic dampening field struggled against these massive objects. Some were stopped. Others got through. A dreadnought to Vera's left took a direct hit from a projectile the size of a building. The ship survived, but the damage was catastrophic. Half its systems went offline. The crew began abandoning ship. How? Vera whispered. How are they doing this? This should be impossible for a species at their level. Her science officer, a Memnar named Yix, provided an answer that somehow made it worse. Commander, these aren't sophisticated weapons. They're using basic engineering principles just scaled up to planetary proportions. Any species could do this theoretically. It's just that nobody has thought to weaponize natural phenomena in thousands of years. Why not? Because it's crude, inelegant. We have better weapons. Not against them, apparently. The Armada limped past Jupiter with 60 ships remaining. 60 out of 200. And Earth was still ahead, along with whatever other nightmares the humans had prepared. Mars orbit brought the final shock. The humans had converted their industrial stations, their construction yards, their mining facilities, all of it into weapons production, but they hadn't built sophisticated warships to match the Armada's vessels. Instead, they had built thousands of simple attack craft. Tiny things, barely big enough for 1 or 2 crew, cheap, fast, and expendable, and they were everywhere. Count them, Vera ordered. Approximately 7,000 individual craft, Commander, all heading directly toward us. 7,000. Vera felt something break inside her. They're not even trying to win efficiently. They're just throwing everything at us. The attack craft swarmed the Armada like insects. Each one carried a single weapon, usually a missile or a simple gun. Individually, they were no threat. The Armada's point defense could destroy them easily, but there were 7,000 of them, and the Armada's point defense systems were exhausted from days of constant fighting. Worse, the human pilots were good. Too good. They flew their cheap little ships with a skill that suggested a lifetime of practice. Later, Vera would learn that humans had been playing spaceflight simulation games for entertainment for over a century. They had trained an entire generation of pilots without even meaning to. The battle around Mars lasted 6 hours. When it ended, the Armada had 30 ships left. 30 ships, all damaged, all low on power, all pushed far beyond their designed limits. But Earth was close now. They could see it, blue and beautiful and infuriating. So close. Commander, incoming transmission from an asteroid near Mars. It's a cargo ship. One of ours captured in the first engagement. What about it? It's accelerating toward us, very fast. And the energy readings, Vera understood before the sentence finished. Antimatter. They loaded it with antimatter and they're going to ram us. She had seconds to decide. Fire on the cargo ship and risk detonating the antimatter early, destroying several of her own ships, or let it get close and destroy her flagship. She chose to fire. The antimatter explosion was beautiful, a perfect sphere of annihilation that consumed the cargo ship and 3 of Vera's frigates instantly. The blast wave damaged a dozen more ships, but the Steadfast Justice survived, barely. Damage report. Shields gone. Main weapons offline. We're venting atmosphere on decks 7 through 12. Life support failing. Commander, we're dead in space. Vera looked at the tactical display. 30 ships had entered this engagement. Now 8 remained functional. 8 ships out of 200. They were still thousands of kilometers from Earth. The planet bristled with weapons platforms, defense stations, and who knew what other surprises. They had lost. Not because the humans had better technology, not because the humans were more powerful, but because the humans fought with a desperation and creativity that the hegemony had forgotten existed. Vera made the hardest decision of her life. All ships cease fire. Broadcast on all frequencies. We surrender. Commander, the hegemony doesn't surrender. War Master Kreth will... War Master Kreth isn't here, dying in space with thousands of dead crew around him. I am. We surrender. Broadcast it now. The message went 3 weeks after the Battle of Sol. Dr. Sarah Chen walked through the corridors of the Steadfast Justice alongside Commander Vera Court. The hegemony flagship had been patched up enough to support life, but evidence of the battle scarred every surface. Burn marks on the walls. Replacement panels that didn't quite match. The smell of recycled air pushed to its limits. Your engineers work quickly, Vera said, gesturing at the repairs. We didn't expect you to help us. You surrendered, Sarah replied simply. Once you did that, you stopped being enemies and started being guests. Uncomfortable guests, maybe, but still guests. They reached an observation window that looked out over Earth. The planet sparkled with lights, peaceful and beautiful. It was hard to believe this place had just won a war against a galactic superpower. I wanted to show you something, Sarah said, activating a data pad. Holographic displays appeared, showing technical specifications and design documents. These are the Hellbore railgun systems, the weapons that killed your father. Vera's face went carefully neutral. Why are you showing me this? Because I want you to understand what happened. Look at this. Sarah highlighted several sections of the documents. Design purpose mining equipment. Primary function, cracking ice asteroids from long range. Cost relatively cheap because we use simple electromagnetic principles. Sophistication level, very low by your standards. You're telling me my father died to a mining tool? Yes, I built it. I never meant for it to kill anyone. But when your ships arrived, the military asked if we could retarget it. I said yes. Sarah met Vera's eyes directly. I'm sorry about your father. I'm sorry about all the deaths, but I'm not sorry I did it. Vera was quiet for a long moment. You speak honestly. I appreciate that. In the past few weeks, our people have done a lot of talking. Your scientists have studied our weapons. Our anthropologists have studied your culture. We're starting to understand each other. Would you like to know what we've learned? Yes. Sarah pulled up new displays showing comparative analyses of human and hegemony technology. Your civilization has existed for 12,000 years. In that time, you've refined your technology to incredible levels. Your shields are masterpieces of engineering. Your ships are elegant and efficient. You've optimized everything over thousands of years of gradual improvement. And that optimization made you predictable. Your shields were designed to counter energy weapons because that's what everyone in the galaxy uses. Your tactics assumed your enemies would follow established military doctrine because everyone does. You built everything for the galaxy you knew. Sarah switched to human technical documents. We've only had space travel for a few centuries. We have no doctrine, no refined tradition, no established way of doing things. When we have a problem, we solve it with whatever works. Sometimes that means using sophisticated technology. Sometimes it means strapping explosives to ice chunks and throwing them really hard. Primitive solutions, Vera said, but there was no insult in her tone. It was just observation, yes and no. Primitive in sophistication, but effective in application. We don't have 12,000 years of engineering tradition telling us what weapons should look like, so we turn mining tools into ship killers. We turn industrial stations into drone factories. We turn an entire solar system into a defensive network using basic physics and desperation. Dr. Marcus Webb joined them at the window. The anthropologist had been working as the primary liaison between humanity and the hegemony survivors. Commander Court, may I add something? Vera nodded. Your people evolved in a stable galactic civilization. You've known peace for most of your history. The hegemony maintains order across hundreds of worlds. You've forgotten what it means to fight for survival against impossible odds. Marcus gestured at Earth. Humanity evolved on a planet that tried to kill us regularly. Predators, diseases, natural disasters, we survived all of it. Then we started fighting each other. Thousands of years of warfare taught us one critical lesson. Adapt or die. We got very good at adapting. You're saying we're soft, Vera said. No, I'm saying you're optimized for a different kind of conflict. You're excellent at the warfare, you know. But when something unexpected happens, you have 12,000 years of tradition telling you how to respond. That tradition failed you here because we don't follow any of the rules you expect, Sarah added. It's not about primitive versus advanced. It's about rigid versus flexible. You have better technology than us in almost every way, but we have fewer assumptions about how that technology should be used. Vera considered this carefully. Our scientists are calling it the human doctrine. Adaptive lateral thinking applied to military problems. The High Council is debating whether to adopt some of your principles. What do you think? Sarah asked. I think my father died because he couldn't imagine someone would use a mining tool as a weapon. I think 60,000 crew died in this battle because we assumed primitives would fight like primitives. I think the galaxy has been fighting the same way for so long that we forgot other ways existed. Vera turned to face them fully. I think humanity is terrifying, and we're fortunate you were willing to stop fighting. We're not monsters, Marcus said gently. We don't want war. We just won't accept surrender to avoid it. An alert chimed on Sarah's datapad. She checked it, and her expression darkened. You need to see this. Both of you. They moved to a command center that the humans had set up on the Steadfast Justice. Screens showed sensor data from the outer solar system. Ships, dozens of them, holding position in the Oort cloud. Not human ships. Not hegemony ships. They've been there for weeks, Sarah explained. Since before the battle. They watched everything. They recorded everything. Vrexel swarm, Vera breathed, her skin going pale. They're our rivals. If they saw the battle, if they saw how easily your weapons defeated our shields, they'll attack, Marcus finished. They'll hit hegemony space while you're weak. Vera activated her communication systems, broadcasting directly to the Hegemony Council. The response came within minutes. High Chancellor Mevris appeared on the screen looking exhausted. Commander Court, we've received your battle reports. The Council has reviewed everything. We've also detected the Vrexel observers. Chancellor, they'll attack. You know they will. Yes. Which is why I'm about to propose something unprecedented. Mevris looked directly at Sarah and Marcus. Dr. Chen, Dr. Webb, the hegemony wishes to extend a formal invitation. Not for humanity to join us as subjects, but as equals, partners. We need your way of thinking, your adaptive strategies, your willingness to do the unexpected. Sarah blinked in surprise. You want us to help you fight the Vrexel swarm? We want you to teach us to fight the way you fight. We want joint operations, shared technology, combined forces. The Vrexel will come in force and they'll expect us to respond as we always have. If we respond with human unpredictability instead, we might actually win, Vera said softly. Marcus looked at Sarah. This isn't a decision we can make alone. We need to consult with Earth's governments. We understand, Mevris said. But decide quickly. The Vrexel won't wait long. The transmission ended. Sarah, Marcus, and Vera stood in silence for a moment. Do you trust us? Sarah asked Vera. Really trust us? Because if we do this, we'll be showing you everything. All our tricks. All our unconventional tactics. Everything that gave us an advantage. Trust is earned through shared struggle, Vera replied. You've already proven you could destroy us. Now prove you can work with us. And if we say no, then the Vrexel will destroy the hegemony eventually, and then come for you. Better we face them together. Sarah thought about the thousands who had died in the battle, the guilt she still carried for turning her mining tool into a weapon of war, the weight of all those deaths. Maybe here was a chance to balance that weight, to use humanity's terrible creativity for something more than just survival. I'll recommend we accept, she said, but I have one condition. Name it. No more ultimatums. No more demands of surrender. If humanity joins the hegemony, we join as full partners with full voices. Our way of thinking, our culture, our independence, all protected. Vera smiled, a strange expression on her alien features. I think you'll find the Council very agreeable to those terms now. We've learned that demanding surrender from humans doesn't work out well for anyone. 2 days later, the agreement was formalized. Humanity would join the Valkoran hegemony as equal partners. Human engineers would work with hegemony scientists. Human tacticians would train hegemony officers. In return, humanity would gain access to 12,000 years of advanced technology and the protection of an established galactic power. Sarah stood on Luna Base watching the first joint operations begin. Human and hegemony ships working together, running training exercises, learning each other's strengths. Above them, Earth continued its eternal rotation, the planet that had faced the galaxy's power and won. Vera found her there. The hegemony commander had chosen to remain in Sol system as a liaison officer. Your people are adapting quickly to our technology, Vera said. And your people are learning to think sideways, Sarah replied. I watched a hegemony engineer propose using a cargo key.